Do trans women benefit from male privilege? There are many arguments used to try and say that trans women are not real women, whatever a real woman is supposed to be. Yet, one of the main arguments used by TERFs, or trans exclusionary radical feminists, is the idea that trans women benefit from male privilege, or have male energy, and are therefore still men trying to gain access to women's spaces, bodies, and experiences. Is this true? In order to answer this, we must first look at what male privilege is. According to Debbie and John Phillips, male privilege is, quote, a special status conferred on males in societies where male supremacy is the central social organizing feature. Such patriarchal societies confer broad social, economic, and political assets on men because they are male. These privileges are based on the belief about the superiority of male biological sex and gender. To put this in simpler terms, male privilege is like wind at the back of men in our patriarchal society. Men get certain benefits in our society simply because they are men, and that helps them succeed. Think about how men are told that they are allowed to be louder in public and women have to be quieter. Or how men make more money than women for the same job. Or how men are more likely to get political power. Or simply feeling safe walking home alone at night. Male privilege is sometimes invisible, but it's there. Male privilege does not mean that you cannot face any sort of oppression, nor that everything has just been handed to you. What it is saying is that being a man is not something that has held you back. So, do trans women like myself have male privilege? Well, the answer is yes and no. Certainly, some trans women do receive benefits from being perceived as male, especially before they come out or before they start transition if they so choose to. This may mean being more likely to get a job or getting a higher wage because they are seen incorrectly as men. Additionally, they may have been socialized as boys, so they are subtly taught to be more confident and take up more space as those socialized as girls. That being said, there are many aspects that complicate this. For one, many aspects of male privilege can actually be extremely damaging or horrifying to trans women. Imagine being in male spaces, hearing men being sexist towards women, and knowing that you are a woman and being too scared to say anything because you feel that they might hurt you or lash out at you for being a trans woman. Or maybe it's just being made to feel small for feeling like a girl. Or facing psychological or even physical abuse for being seen as not measuring up to some standard of masculinity. Additionally, some trans women don't ever benefit from male privilege, such as if they transition or present as women very young in life. Let me use a simple example from my own experience as a trans woman to show both sides of this coin of male privilege. After I came out as trans to my friends, but before I was out socially, I had to go in for a job interview. I wore a suit to that interview despite desperately wishing that I could wear a dress. When I went to the interview, I felt uncomfortable and wrong in a suit, especially having just started to express myself with my friends. I felt like I was lying to myself and to my potential employer. I did get the job, and it helped pay my rent for several years. And I later learned from that boss that one of the reasons I stood out as an applicant was because I dressed so nicely in the interview. As a result, I didn't feel comfortable coming out at that job for several months. Had I worn a dress, would I have stood out in such a positive light? Or would I have been seen as strange for being a non-passing trans woman at the time? There's sadly no way to know. So in a way, I both benefited from male privilege by getting the job and suffered from it by having to hide a part of myself for so long. Additionally, once trans women transition or stop presenting as men, that male privilege disappears. Trans women still see discrimination in getting jobs, housing, pay discrimination, and tons elsewhere. We face both sexism for being perceived as a woman and transphobia for being perceived as trans. We also start to feel unsafe walking alone at night. One of the scariest moments after my transition was when I was walking home alone one night like I had done numerous times before transitioning. And I suddenly realized that I actually felt terrified because I thought I was going to be hurt because I was seen as a woman. A walk I had taken so many times before suddenly felt menacing. I ran the whole way home. Some TERFs like to point out that trans women sometimes are more vocal or attempt to center themselves in women's spaces because they were socialized as boys to take up more space. This is anecdotal, as every person is different, and being a trans woman doesn't automatically make you more confident. I can speak from personal experience of my terrible, crippling social anxiety. And anyways, shouldn't we teach everyone, both men and women, cis or trans, to be confident? Everyone deserves a voice and to be heard, and to have a chance to speak up. Finally, some argue that they can sense a male energy coming from a trans woman. As feminist and transgender writer Julia Serrano points out, this is ridiculous and feels particularly sexist, as it implies that men have a sort of mythical force that some women have and others don't. A cis and a trans woman may exhibit the same exact tomboyish traits, but one would only read a male energy in the trans woman because they were looking for it, and wouldn't question the cis woman's womanhood despite her tomboy tendencies. You can see the double standard. In the end, talking about any form of privilege, white, straight, able-bodied, male, or any other, is to try and draw attention to the fact that members of a dominant group do not face a particular marginalization. While trans women may benefit from male privilege in very particular situations, we also suffer from a patriarchal society our entire lives, just as our cisgendered sisters do. To not acknowledge this only delegitimizes and minimizes trans women's identities, sufferings, and lived experiences as women. So shouldn't we all work together to recognize each other's humanity? If you like this video and want to hear more educational, fun trans videos, please consider hitting subscribe and checking out some of my other videos. I swear you'll only mildly regret it, and I would super appreciate it. And also you can follow me at JesseGender on pretty much all of the social medias. And special thanks to my good friend Ariel Sobel for giving me the idea for this video.